In the quiet valley of Evergreen Hollow, where the moon always seemed to linger a little longer, a girl named Lyra built the most perfect snowman the winter had ever seen. She didn't give him a borrowed name. She called him Elian, an old word for eternal echo. He had charcoal eyes that caught starlight like trapped comets, a carrot nose she carved just right, and birch branch arms that reached up as if trying to hold back the sky. What no one knew, not even Lyra, was that Elian was born with something rare, a frost heart. It wasn't magic from a hat or a spell. It was a small, glowing core of eternal winter, gifted by the season itself. When Lyra whispered, "Stay as long as you can," pressing her hand to his chest. Elian woke that first night, not with loud laughter, but with a soft, crystalline sigh. He could feel the pulse of winter in his veins, sharp, clean, and endless. He loved the hush of snowfall at 3 in the morning, the way moonlight turned fields into silver mirrors, and the secret conversations between the wind and the bare branches. Most of all, he loved Lyra's nightly visits. She'd sit bundled in blankets and tell him stories of oceans she'd never seen, and summers so warm the air shimmered. But with every passing night, the wind carried a warning. Distant birds were returning, sap was stirring in the trees, and the sun was rising a few minutes earlier each day. Spring was coming. Elian didn't panic or melt dramatically. He simply began to plan. He asked the owls for maps of the coldest places on Earth. He convinced the northern wind to carry his messages to ancient glaciers. He even persuaded a family of Arctic foxes to dig secret tunnels under the snow, leading toward the shadowed side of the mountain where sunlight barely touched. Lyra was the first to notice his worry. She saw it in the way his charcoal eyes dimmed as dawn approached. "You're afraid," she said one night, her forehead pressed against his snowy chest. "I am not afraid of melting," Elian answered, his voice like the sound of falling ice crystals. "I am afraid of silence, of the world forgetting how quiet beauty can be, of you forgetting me when grass covers this spot." Lyra cried then, her quiet, frozen tears turning to tiny diamonds on his scarf. Together, they made a pact. Elian would try to reach the eternal Circa hidden bowl high in the mountains where the snow never fully surrendered. If he could make it, his frost heart might keep beating, and so began the quietest migration ever attempted. Each night, while the village slept, Elian walked. He didn't leap or bound, but took slow, deliberate steps that left only a faint shimmer of frost behind, one that vanished by morning. Lyra followed when she could, riding an old wooden sled he pulled with branch ropes. The foxes scouted ahead, and the owls watched from above. They crossed frozen rivers that groaned like old men waking from a long sleep. They hid in snowdrifts when the sun dared to show its face too early. Elian grew thinner, his edges softening with each step, but his frost heart burned brighter, as if defiance itself could make ice stronger. One dawn, they finally reached the Cirque. It was smaller than the legends said, just a cupped hand of stone holding perpetual shadow and snow. But the air there tasted like January at midnight. Elian stepped inside and felt his frost heart steady, calm. He was home. He turned to Lyra. "I can stay," he said. "But the valley will warm. The seasons will turn. You will grow taller, learn to swim in real oceans, and one day you may not come back here." Lyra looked down at the sleeping village far below, then back at Elian, still perfect, still hers, but now part of something much larger. She smiled through her tears. "Then I'll visit every winter," she promised. "And every time I build a new snowman, I'll whisper your name so you can echo through them all. Eternal, just like you wanted." Elian bent low, and for the first time he let her hug him without fear of crumbling. His frost heart flared once, bright and blinding. A single snowflake, shaped exactly like her fingerprint, drifted onto her glove and never melted. He stayed in the cirque, but every December, when the first real snow falls in Evergreen Hollow, the children find their snowmen have an extra sparkle in their eyes. A slightly prouder tilt to their branch arms, as if they're listening for an old friend's footsteps. And high above, in that shadowed bowl where winter refuses to leave, Elian waits quiet, eternal, content knowing that some endings are just pauses, and some hearts are made of a season that refuses to say goodbye. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking and subscribing for more tales from the quiet corners of the world.